and gentlemen, we are back at it again. Thank you so much for tuning in this week to Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast. Of course, we are back with yet another AEW Dynamite recap show. We are recapping the episode from October the 21st, 2020. Of course, we're recording this directly after Dynamite goes off the air. And we're here, of course, joined as always by the man, the myth, the legend, host of the Takin the Bump podcast, Jimmy Jam James Beatley Jr. Sir, how in the hell are you doing?
I am good, my friend. We laughed, we cried. This was a great episode of Dynamite. Sorry, it's Wednesday, not Tuesday. It was a great episode of AEW Dynamite. Let's get into it. Why don't we?
Yeah, now that you've got the whole audience confused as to what show we're actually recapping, it's Dynamite, not Dark. I promise you, we have never done a Dark recap. There's a reason why. And last night's episode was like 2 hours long. Oh my gosh, it was so hard to go through. Anyways, a lot of ups and downs, twists and turns on this episode of Dynamite. It was very, very good. Put down the damn sign. Let's get into the first couple segments. We have the 8-man Eliminator Tournament to crown a new number one contender for the AEW World Championship. Speaking of that, Full Gear is coming along nicely. The card looks pretty good so far. We'll get into all that. May spread a couple of the matches here throughout the show, but we'll have a good full preview of Full Gear before that show starts on November the 7th. So be tuned out for that. Or be aware of that and tune in whenever it does come up here on the channel. Start off with Jungle Boy versus Wardlow. They both wrestled on Dark last night. Both got wins. However, Jungle Boy did not get a win here. Wardlow got the win. Impressive. Good for him to get a singles win in a big-time championship tournament style environment. And he moves on to the semifinals. John Moxley cuts a good promo on Eddie Kingston. Kingston laid into him last week, both on and off the air from Dynamite. Very passionate promo. Eddie Kingston has to be one of the top 5 guys on the mic in the business right now. The dude has such a gift of gab. Just the intensity and the passion in that promo that he delivered last week made me believe in him more of a character. And they're going to be fighting for the world title at Full Gear. So that's going to be a brawl. It's going to be physical. It's going to be nasty, but it's going to be fun. I can't wait for that one. We get to the second match of the tournament, Kenny Omega versus Sonny Kiss. This match lasted all of about 45 seconds, if that. Kenny Omega had a nice new entrance, had some, I'm going to guess they're Jaguars cheerleaders with some brooms, and then had a nice little prelude to his entrance song, had a nice little screen up at one of the entrance tunnels, and it released, and Kenny Omega was there. Probably about a 2.5-minute entrance, and the match was definitely not as long as the entrance, so good to see that. But I think we're starting to get a turn around on the Omega character. It's developing nicely. I'm liking it. The reason why I wore the cleaner shirt tonight, it's brewing, and it's coming along very nicely. So I will turn it over to you for the first few segments there on Dynamite. What you think about everything that we saw up to this point?
Yeah, we start out here the show with Wardlow and Jungle Boy. And, Wardlow so far has shown when he is wrestling in the ring and he's not MJF's bitch, that he actually can perform half decent in the ring. With MJF, his little sneak preview or his possibility, him kind of making it seem like he's joining the inner circle. Seems like him and Wardlow are about to split up, and I'd like to see Wardlow get a pretty decent mid-card push, maybe a TNT title opportunity if that's possible, because he is pretty decent in the ring. And then they get into Eddie Kingston and Moxley's thing last week, and Eddie Kingston is a character. Honestly, I've never even heard of him until he joined AEW and answered Cody's TNT title open challenge, and I don't know. He's grown on me every time he's out here. Um, he's I would say he's better as a talker than he is in ring, and obviously that's probably why all he does here recently has talk. Though I think in the situation where they're going with Moxley, it's a sort of death match type hardcore matches. I think he that's his niche as well with Moxley. I think they were like best friends when they both were in CZW together. So I like the stipulation they added to this match with Moxley and Kingston for Full Gear, the I Quit match. That's something I know. I think WWE's doing it again for Hell in a Cell. I think they have an I Quit match. I can't remember who it's with because I don't watch WWE half as much, but that's something we haven't seen in wrestling, at least the mainstream wrestling, in quite some time. Obviously, I think the most memorable in recent history would be Matt and Jeff Hardy fighting in an I Quit match. And I don't know. Those type of matches, they grab my attention more than normal. Just the ability to beat your opponent to the point that they have to say that they quit. You can't pin them. You can't submit them. You have to beat them basically to the point that right before they're about to die. I love that style of match. And then for all you Kenny Omega haters out there, let's give it some time. I think AEW pushed, and Kenny himself kind of left himself on the back burner a little bit. Like, let's grow this company and grow some stars, and let's not just push the executives. And now it's time for Kenny to get his push. And I mean, I know people say his character kind of sucks, and he is kind of limited as a babyface. I think his heel work is a lot better than his babyface work. And I saw them brooms today, and I was excited. I hope we get to see the cleaner, his persona come back. The match, I mean, there's nothing to really talk about. He destroyed Sonny Kiss 1, 2, 3. But just the whole presentation of Kenny and his character and the change that's coming and the foreshadowing of what's to come with Kenny Omega. I love how they're doing it. It's a slow build, so stop talking about how he doesn't have mic skills or whatever people keep saying, because wait till he turns fully heel and you'll see Kenny Omega put on his best work. I think the beginning of the show is really good, and it progressed. Honestly, this was a very fluid show, give and take a couple pieces that kind of just didn't, I don't know, they kind of fit a different niche, and we'll talk about that shortly. But great introduction to the show. A lot of action, not a lot of promotional pieces, a lot of in-ring work in the beginning, and I like that. And then as we move into the middle and the end of the show, I think they definitely did a lot better this week than they did in previous weeks.
Yeah, I agree with you on that for sure. Yeah, I vouch for anybody to watch Omega's NJPW stuff when he was the cleaner, and how just aggressive he was on the microphone, how aggressive he was in the ring. Truly transformed his character, and that's where he really started to get a name for himself, was when he kind of transitioned from just the regular Kenny Omega, the babyface, to the cleaner, and a prominent role, the leader of the Bull Club, Kid AJ Styles out. So, I mean, yeah, I vouch for that, and I think people would enjoy that and see, now I know why Omega is such a big deal, and it's coming, so just stick with it. Gets an Orange Cassidy promo, talks about a little bit of first match next week, a lumberjack match against Cody on Dynamite for the TNT title, and then we go towards Limo pulling up. Dasha's out there interviewing Cody and Arn Anderson. Just kind of preluding once again the match for next week. Eddie Kingston cuts another promo about John Moxley, saying how he left guys like Eddie Kingston and those that loved the sport, loved the business with all their heart and soul. Moxley left them for the entertainment world up in Stamford, Connecticut, and kind of left them behind. And keep saying never. I'm gonna make sure you never forget me. Pay back for leaving me, all this other stuff. So we are building up quite nicely, if I must say so myself, for Full Gear between those two. We get to the next match, which is another Eliminator tournament match. I can't do what Justin Robert does. Ray Phoenix versus Penta El Zero M. They can get the name right because we've heard Eddie Kingston still calls him Pentagon. Just Roberts says Penta El Zero. It's El Zero M. Let's just get a meeting and say this is the name. Let's make sure we practice it so we can understand it. We get it and move on. Whatever. It's like the Washington football team. We can't decide what kind of name we're going to go with, and then we get told we may stick with the football team name next year, which better not damn happen. I'm telling you that right now. And you can listen to more about my rant about the Washington football team name and the team overall in general on my other podcast, which is the Fight On podcast, where we both talk about our favorite football teams, dissect the week before from the NFL, and also preview and predict games for the next week as well. So follow us. You can follow us on Twitter at FOPod2020. That's FOPod2020 for the Fight On podcast. Back to this podcast, though. Phoenix versus Penta. Great match. Fantastic match. These guys have fought before in every other company, and of course, they're brothers. So, I mean, they've got just that natural chemistry. But my goodness, this thing, they could do an hour-long match, man, and I would not get tired of it. If these dudes fought every week, I would not get tired of it. Fits my style. I love this style of wrestling. The reversals Phoenix was doing was just insane, and chopping from back and forth, and Pentagon hitting some of his big moves. Phoenix kicking it out of them, and just back and forth. It was so awesome. Phoenix ends up winning. That was a little bit of a shocker, in my opinion, but a sick reversal into basically a destroyer type move for the 1-2-3. Sick move. So, yeah, good match there. Middle of the show got better. And the show, like James said, just the show overall just got better. I thought this was better than the anniversary show. Quite honest with you, this was a very, very good show. We get to the rest of the Dark Order. They do a cut of promo with Reynolds and Silver and Colt Cabana. And then Cabana kind of previews his match with Hangman. And we turned to a pretty decent match there. And Colt Cabana vouches hard, tries to win, didn't get through. Hangman wins and advances to the tournament. So going to be a very good next week. We've got the quarterfinals. It'll be Phoenix going up against, I believe, Kenny Omega, and then Hangman versus Wardlow. Interesting matches, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited to see it. So, yeah, I believe that's right. I think it's Omega and Phoenix, and then Wardlow and Hangman. So, yeah, middle of the show there, pretty good, man. What did you think about the kind of this middle of the show as we kind of broke down things there for you?
Yeah, no, the middle of the show, it got better and better. A little bit more promotional work, and then fewer matches. But I think the star of the show, I don't know, it's a tie between a future segment we'll talk about in a minute, and I would say from an in-ring perspective was Rey Phoenix and Penta El Zero M. Oh my goodness, I could watch them fight each other every single day if they just want to turn on 15 minutes of AEW every single day at 8 o'clock. I will watch just for that match. It was brilliant. Just the luchador style in general is very, I don't know, it grabs your attention. It's a little different than kind of the English style or the Japanese style or strong style or American wrestling. And I love how Penta and Rey Phoenix, they haven't really changed up their styles. They've kind of changed it a little bit to fit with the American audience, and I'm okay with that because obviously you got to fit in and try and keep everything within the television time limits and everything that you need to run a show. But that match was just brilliant. The ability to use almost every part of the ring and still tell a great story. I was shocked that Phoenix won the match. I'm interested to see where this leads, though, because I feel like this could have some lasting impact on either the future of the tournament or like the future of this group with Eddie Kingston and Phoenix and Penta and Butcher and the Blade and such. I don't know. That was a solid match. Nothing against the other parts of the middle of the show, but I just felt like that part stuck out the most, and that match was brilliant. If it wasn't for another segment that comes up later, I would call this segment of the night, but it got beat out by another segment late that we'll talk about in a minute. And it was just the best 10 minutes of TV we've ever seen in my entire life. But we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, it was a pretty decent middle of the show. You get to this point and you know people's attention is probably going to slowly start fading. So, you get right to where you want to pique their interest again. So they did a great job on this show, putting a lot of action together. And I mean, the last couple of weeks I've been kind of lost in my phone, to be honest. But this week I wasn't. I was intrigued with the matches they were telling and the stories they were telling. And I think AEW, more over any other mainstream TV broadcast, when it gets time for the pay-per-views, they put on some of their best weekly television. And so we don't see no brand split drafts that don't make sense because they use people from the other company or the other brand on the other show, like they did with the New Day and Tucker and Patrick Starfish lookalike Otis. But yeah, I love how they're able to just fit all these stories together. And the first round matchups are pretty good. Adam Page, his match, I wasn't super thrilled with it. It wasn't the greatest match in the world, but you get what you get when you get these random draws. And I think we see where the bracket's leading up. I'm not going to be as naive as I was with the TNT tournament. You see where it's going, but still you want to see how it gets there at the same time. So you know where the final product's going to lead you. But at the same time, tell me a good story, and AEW's done that, at least with the first round matches. So I'm thrilled with that part. Let's just talk about the best segment of the show. Why don't we?
You might as well, right? Sammy Guevara with the Matt Hardy thing. They're going to be facing off at Full Gear in the Elite Deletion match, which should promise to be a very intriguing, entertaining match that they're going to put on at Full Gear. Taz comes out with Team Taz with Starks and Brian Cage. They each got a promo on that they should be in the tournament, that Starks should be facing for the TNT title. Him and Darby's little thing going back and forth. So nice little segue there. And then we get to, is it Le Dinner Dubois or something like that? Le Dinner Celebration Dubois. Basically, the steak dinner, the showdown, the one-on-one showdown at the steak dinner between Chris Jericho and MJF. Quite possibly the most entertaining, fun 10 minutes that I have seen on television in quite some time. With MJF getting the waitress's name wrong. It's Velma with a V. He called her Thelma, which I believe is a chick from the Flintstones. And then they go back and forth on what kind of steak they want. It's either well done or medium well, medium rare, blue off the cut the cow and give it to me with the baked potato on the side. And then Jericho and him kind of bicker back and forth for a little bit. And then probably then we learned that there's going to be a town hall meeting with the Inner Circle regarding if MJF will even get into the Inner Circle next week on Dynamite. And then we get into what quite possibly was the most not seen coming part of a wrestling show that I have seen in quite some time. These mofos, these dudes, they break out in a song and dance. They break out in a song and dance and bury almost everybody along the way. They open the blue curtain, and I'm pretty sure this was a restaurant inside the Jaguar Stadium or somewhere around the area, but my gosh, I'm pretty sure they use the Jaguars cheerleaders, which is fine. Hey, if you already got them, use them as long as you're paying them well. Um, oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they pre-recorded the song and they tried to match it up as perfectly as they could, or if they went full song, I don't know. Either way, it was fantastic. It was entertaining. I loved it. Jericho singing. I think Maxwell was his real voice. He did sing in the school choir and was an orchestra member, I believe. Um, my gosh, that was one of the most fun segments I have seen in a long time. Um, yeah, absolutely fun. Absolutely fun. We're gonna keep it on as we get to the end of the show here. Britt Baker squashes over Kylan King. She gets a big win here on Dynamite. And then Darby Allin shows off his stuff with Steve-O. Talk about an interesting combination that is. And then we get to the Four Corners tag team match to determine the number one contender for the tag team titles at Full Gear. We've got Butcher and the Blade. We've got 3 and 4, which is John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Private Party and the Young Bucks. You know, you're never going to have a great tag team match with a four-way. It's a big cluster. Everybody's trying to get their spots in, and that's understandable. But man, not a big fan of these triple threat tag matches, fatal four-way tag matches. There's so many bodies in the ring, and you can just easily get confused on who's legal, who's not. Just the action all over the place is crazy, but big cluster. I'm not a fan of these kind of matches. It was a good match. It's such a cluster to do that. I do want to talk about probably the scariest spot of the match and the show. Alex Reynolds was in the middle of the ring. Private Party, one on each side of the turnbuckles, diagonal from each other, kind of did a Hardy's move where one did a leg drop, the other did a splash. I have not seen a replay because I'm kind of nervous to see the replay. I always like to make sure that the people are okay and have no problems afterwards. But basically, the leg drop happened, the splash happened, and as soon as it happened, I went, "Oh no, oh no!" And James and I were watching, and he kind of looks up, and he's like, "What? What's going on? What's going on?" I'm like, "Dude, Reynolds is not moving. Like, it's not like he's selling and he's selling great. He's not moving. His legs were like crisscross at the very bottom. He's laying down, and his legs kind of crisscross like that." His arm was kind of like this, stiff. I mean, the dude was stiff as a rock for quite a bit. You can kind of see in the corner of like a little bit of his eyes. I don't know if they were rolling back in his head or if he was just stunned completely, knocked unconscious. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. I think he had the leg drop to the face. Just really was a bad spot, bad position. Um, yeah, he was totally knocked out. It seemed like he was starting to come back to it after a little bit, finished the match, and then went to the outside. I think the medical trainers were definitely there after the show went off the air. So hopefully it's nothing serious like a spinal injury or a neck injury. Um, you know, the concussion is the worst of it, and he passes the protocol and he's okay. Then we'll thank our lucky stars. But that was a nasty, nasty move. Um, and pretty serious, scary injury for sure. Because as soon as I saw that, I just got really, really, really nervous that something really bad was going on, and Reynolds really wasn't okay. And in that instance, the ref, I don't care what you got to do. I understand it's live television. You're on a time crunch. I get that, and I know it's the pressures of TV, but man, you got to throw up a signal ASAP to either the ringside doctor. If somebody is looking like that, you got to focus on them for a second. The in-ring action will take care of itself. You know, try to create a barrier between you and the wrestlers, because you don't know if he's really hurt or not. And see if you can roll him safely to the apron so he doesn't get hit anymore, accidentally or on purpose, and hopefully that the doctors can take care of him from there and get the help he needs. But anyways, cluster of a match. Young Bucks win. Tully Blanchard comes out and hits the Young Bucks with a steel chair. Does the old Dusty Arn move where they do the cradle pile driver and they spike him from the top turnbuckle or second rope. And then the FTR did the nice old school move where they put the chair wrapped around the leg and stomp on it to hurt the leg pretty badly, and that's how the show goes off the air. So hopefully Alex Reynolds is okay. That's kind of first and foremost on my agenda. Hope he's okay. Kind of threw all that at you at once. But what about you? Break down kind of what you thought of, obviously, the greatest segment of the show, and then we get to that end of the match there and everything in between, and what you thought about that.
Yeah, so MJF and Chris Jericho need to work together for the rest of their life. That was brilliant. That was beautiful. It deserves a Grammy, an Emmy, a Tony, a Hubie. I don't care what you call it. It deserves every award it can get. That was the best segment I've ever seen in my entire life of any television on planet Earth. Goodness, it's so great. I need them to put that on iTunes so I can download the song and play it to work every day. It was brilliant. I think the thing is, one, I think I love it so much because it's going to piss off Jim Cornette and fuck that old piece of shit bastard. Sorry if this gets – you might need to cut out some of those words. But he's blocked me on both of my accounts. So he can I don't know. He can get a testicle chopped off if he wanted to. Anyway, yeah, it's going to piss off Jim Cornette. So it's just brilliant because of that. And then you need a little bit, like I said, the show is getting kind of at that point where you needed something like that to spark the interest to finish out the rest of the show. You had a big match, a number one contender match for the AEW tag titles to end the show. So this was a brilliant kind of transition point to be like, what in the hell's going on? And now I need to pay attention. And then if that was MJF's real voice, I don't know if it was. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Brilliant on his part, brilliant on Chris Jericho. I think this is the best work we've seen Jericho done in quite a while. His run with AEW, his run with New Japan. And it shows that if you let the talent kind of take a run at their own creative, just how creative these guys really are. Chris Jericho, that's just brilliant. Usually this would probably be about the time you probably see him knocked off of TV. Usually Fozzy does a fall or winter tour, but with COVID, I don't know if they're having a tour this year. So it's great to see him on TV, great to see him having fun, and I think he thoroughly is enjoying himself in the ring. That Sammy's Matt Hardy match, I think that'll be, just as good as any of the other deletion cinematic stuff that we've seen in Impact or WWE or any other company that's kind of used this idea from Matt Hardy. I think it'll be really good. Sammy and Matt work great together. And then that tag match, I agree. It's kind of hard, in my opinion, to keep up with 4, 6, 8 guys in the ring at the same time. Or if not in the ring at the same time, keeping up with who's the legal man, keeping up with who's not, it's just very confusing to follow along sometimes. And then with Alex Reynolds, that was kind of devastating. It looked bad on TV. And my first reaction was, why isn't the medical staff helping him out of the ring? Like, we kind of saw, I think it was Butcher kind of like pull him towards the side and tag out to get him out of the ring. And I know there's a video going around of someone that was there filming after the show, and Cody went down to check on him. The medical staff was down there, and he was seen walking away into the back locker room. I don't know if he was just knocked out. Wind knocked out of him. He did look like he was gone for a minute. Hopefully it's nothing serious like spinal issue, because that might put a damper on him for a while. And him and John Silver they work so well together. They have a lot of chemistry. John Silver's funny as hell. His being the elite segments, his dark segments, he's just funny. And I love – hold on one second. Join the Dark Order. I love John Silver. He's the reason I've joined the Dark Order. So brilliant work. Hopefully Reynolds is okay. Like I said, the video that I saw showed him walking away, and hopefully it's just he got the wind knocked out of him, or he just got knocked out for a minute, and that he's okay and able to compete again pretty quickly. But Young Bucks win this match, and again, it's one of them things where you can't be naive to the fact that you probably knew they were going to win. But let me see how they take us to this point, and then with FTR and their heel work and totally coming out and beating up Matt and Nick after the match. It's brilliant stuff. I love like I said earlier, the closer they get to pay-per-view time is when the stories progress to like hyper mode. Like it might take a minute for AEW to build a story, but when it gets close to crunch time, they speed it up and they get the story told, and we almost have a whole pay-per-view planned out, and like I think it's 2 weeks away. So I mean, I am ecstatic for full gear. Several matches that I can't wait to see. The I Quit match with Moxley and Kingston, the tag match with FTR and the Young Bucks, the finals of this tournament to determine the number one contender, Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy. There's a bunch of stuff on this card. And then I hate to bring it up because, we've gone so long without talking about it, but Britt Baker and Kylan King was the only segment on the night for the women again. And I didn't watch Dark. I'm pretty sure you skimmed through all 2 hours of that show last night. I don't know how many women's matches were on that show. I know we got 2 or 3, something like that. Yeah. Come on. You have 16 matches on Dark last night. Half of them should have been some of these women. If not half, like 6 of them, 5 of them. Give us some action. Let's see these women. I know next week we have Takin versus Abaddon, I believe, which, again, I don't know why they put them together. I don't know if it's going to be like a squash match or if Anna Jay is going to help with Takin, because I don't know if she's officially joined the Dark Order yet. So I don't know. I want more from the women. Britt Baker gets the win. I love to see Britt getting the W, but we need more than a 2-second or 2-minute squash match every week from the women's division. I won't go into depth. You hear us every week complain about the women's division. So, I mean, otherwise, pretty solid. But yes, AEW. Can next week, can we have Maxwell and Jericho like create another musical masterpiece, please? I mean, please. That was brilliant. Back to your host.
Yeah, the whole thing, the whole singing thing was fantastic, and of course, we're like a broken record whenever we're talking about the women's division with AEW. I don't have any jello shots tonight, so that's why I didn't want to get too much into it, because it took a little bit of the fun away of saying it and repeating it and getting slightly drunk after that to try to forget the atrocity that's going on in the AEW women's division. Yeah, I agree with you. Like maybe a little bit less than half the matches on Dark should be women's matches, singles, tag teams, whatever. Give me a couple segments on Dynamite, and that way we can kind of build this thing back up, Why is Nyla Rose not really getting used? Where's Riho been? Why is Sheeta not even on these shows? Um, it's just weird. I don't get it. Not sure what the whole thought process is on it. But hey, whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, believe me, we can go into a whole depth discussion about that, which we haven't yet, but I'm sure we will. But yeah, Full Gear definitely coming up soon. It's getting into shape. I like it. The card so far is pretty good. Of course, we've got another week before we get, or 2 weeks before we get to the show. So we shall see how well it goes here for the next 2 weeks. Not only with the World Championship #1 contendership that'll take place in Full Gear, and the TNT title, the world title, the tag title. I'm sure the women's title will be on the line somewhere. Grudge matches in between. It's going to be a fun show. Can't wait for it. Next week should be a very fun week for Dynamite as well. With these other quarterfinal matches going on. Abaddon versus Takin. Should be fun. What do you give your thumb scale for Dynamite tonight? I'm going 1.5. 1.5. Good show. Very solid. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Once again, well wishes to Alex Reynolds. Hopefully he's all good and he won't be missing too much action. Maybe take a week off or something. Rest up some of the injuries he may sustain if it's not too severe. But hopefully he's okay. And of course, that's the main important thing here. So hopefully can see some good news over the next couple days for that. Put up another Twitter poll ski as usual every single week. I always ask, what did you guys enjoy more on the Wednesday Night Wars edition? Of course, NXT or AEW. And at the moment, so far, we've got 47% saying they enjoyed Dynamite more. 47% saying they enjoyed NXT more. And 7% saying, I enjoy both equally. I can't pick a winner. That's what I like to see. I like to see more inclusion, more diversity in this poll. If not for every week that I do these polls on the show, it's always in the pro AEW crowd. I do follow quite a bit of AEW guys and gals, but I try to definitely mix it up a little bit with just pro WWE, pro AEW, me, a mixture of both, even though I only cover AEW stuff. I love pro wrestling as it is. So good to see that in a way. Did you do a poll tonight? That's okay, no problem. But let's get to the social medias, shall we? I will let you kind of take over there and plug your social media, sir.
Yes. You can follow the Taking the Bump podcast if you like my voice. By going to Twitter and going to @TheB podcast, you can get all the latest and greatest tweets from my brain about the wrestling world. The podcast has been quiet here recently, but I plan on hopefully eventually sometime in the near future taking the time to record some new content for you. I may just put something up this week about why you should join the Dark Order. Who knows? But anyway, @TheB podcast on Twitter. You can go to prowrestlingtees.com/TheB podcast. That's our official merch store. You can buy the logo tees of the Taking the Bump podcast because the logos change more than Joe Biden without a teleprompter. Sorry, I have to go there. But anyway, yes, go to and follow us on Twitter, buy our t-shirts, support the indie podcasters. And of course, if you do buy my shirt, like always, a portion of your purchase will go to some sort of charity of your choice or choosing, or if you don't want to choose, I'll choose for you. Even if you don't like the charity that I gave it to, I'll choose for you if you don't tell me. Anyway, Twitter, Pro Wrestling Tees. I think that's all I got. Your turn.
Can I donate if I buy your shirt to the Biden-Harris campaign?
No political campaigns allowed. Sorry, sir.
Oh, well, damn. All right. Understandable. Very nice, sir. Yes, I like how you said that follow or support the local indie podcasters. We're a couple indie podcast brothers, as they say in the old industry, with the nature hoot, and beer partying and having a good time. Anyways, yeah, the nature hoot will make a special appearance on the next episode of the audio only version of Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast. So be on the lookout for that. Anyways, yeah, you can follow us, of course, on the social media platforms, Facebook, Beyond the Curtain Podcast. Very slacking on that, but we'll get back into someone posting regularly on that. Of course, you can follow us on the Twitter page at BtheC Pod 18. BtheC Pod 18. Of course, follow us there. You guys are watching this on our YouTube channel page, Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast. Make sure down there you give the subscribe button a click, turn on the notification bell, so you know each and every time that we go, maybe not even live, but have a new video posted. I did say subscribe. Where's the ring bell? There it is. Okay. So yeah, definitely do that. We have a Pro Wrestling Tee store as well. PWT Store is open and available. ProWrestlingTees.com/Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast. 2 shirts on there still, like usual. I haven't really gone too far in depth with the designs just because I don't have very many funny things to say at the moment. And if I put a design up there and you have no idea what I'm saying, you're not going to get it. So why even do that? But anyways, there are 2 shirts on there. Of course, if you buy any one of those shirts, 20% of your purchase will go to a charity of your choosing. As soon as you make a purchase, you can DM me on the social media platforms I just mentioned. Name the charity that you want me to send that 20% to, and if I don't do it within a week, then I will return your money, full refund in total. I will send you a screenshot of the receipt or some form of proof that I sent that 20% to that charity of your choosing. So great initiative. All the money doesn't go to me, it goes to helping out people as well. So not in it for the money, not in it for the fame or fortune, in it to have some fun and also give back to our local community. So with that being said, guys, I hope you all enjoyed Dynamite this week. You enjoyed the show, of course, here. Appreciate your support each and every week, not only on Twitter, on social media, but also on the page as well. Like, follow, subscribe, share, all these things. That way we can at least get the word a little bit more. I'd like to do some more fun stuff here in the upcoming future. We shall see. Of course, having a busy life with taking care of a 5-year-old and another 5-year-old sitting across from me. Just kidding. Worldly things, life gets in the way, but we will try to get some more good content up for you guys. So that being said, hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy. Keep Alex Reynolds in your thoughts and prayers tonight, just so we can make sure that he makes a speedy recovery and he is all good to go. With that being said, ladies and gents, we will see you next week right here, same place, same time, same channel, Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, evening. Don't join the Dark Order. And take care, guys. We will see you next week.